Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you're all very well. And I just wanted to fill you in with what happened at my radiotherapy appointment this morning at 9 o'clock. So the doctor was lovely, the oncologist, and she just was explaining going forward with my radiotherapy. So the plan would be that I get radiotherapy, 5 sessions, um, say in 2 weeks. They're going to measure me up, and they put three little tattoos, red marks, um, one on each side and one in the middle, and it's to align, where the radiotherapy has to go, right? So she explained that, and she was really nice, and she wanted to make sure that I knew what my diagnosis was, basically. So she said, and I don't know, I had it somewhere here now. So she basically said to me that mine was 11 millimeters, which is tiny, right? So it's grade 1. Lymph nodes were clear. So there's a 10% chance of the risk of it coming back with no radiology or radiotherapy. So she's basically saying, you're better off, like 1 in 10 people, it does come back if you don't get radiotherapy. So I wasn't questioning the radiotherapy. I've looked into it. It's like the tamoxifen, the endocrine kind of therapy. I kind of was very hesitant. Did I need it? All of that. As most people know, I'm not into, kind of, I was going to say mainstream medication, but I don't mean that. I'm not, I try and go as natural as I can. And I always have been, and I've always questioned, and I've always wanted to know everything before I do anything. So basically in 2 weeks, they'll call me in, they'll do a CT scan. And as I said, they will mark the areas, they call it tattooing, and then it'll take 2 to 3 weeks. Then I go back and I get the actual radiotherapy. It's around 10 minutes session, and the actual radiotherapy itself, like the zapping of the area, I don't know. I think that's 15 seconds, and they do it a few times. But I'll tell you more about that when I actually experience it, because I don't really know. But I just know that, so she said you have the CT, then a 2-week gap, you'll have your treatment, and then after 6 weeks, I would get a telephone call to see how I'm doing, right? So that's the basic thing. They give you, I'm on a lot of forums and things like that, and people, especially in the States, would recommend certain creams and things like that. So I did say to her, I said, what cream would you recommend me to get? She said, not at all. We supplied the cream. You put it on twice a day. And she said, it's specialized, it's no perfume, and it's natural and all of that. So that's fine. I remember somebody actually in England saying she didn't get, so it probably depends on the hospital. So my information was that, as I said, 11 millimeters was the thing, and they try and get a millimeter around. It's very small, isn't it? I think she said ideal margin 1 millimeter all round clear. So I was told that mine was clear, but when she was telling me about my risks with radiotherapy, I started to question. I was saying, does everyone have the same risks as me? Because I didn't hear these risks. Does everyone have the same risks? Are you just zapping the one area? She was saying we're going to do the whole breast. And I said, does everyone get the full breast done? And she said, no, it's where yours is located. So if mine had been in a different position, it would be a different case. So mine is I would say it's nearly in my back, to be honest. It's kind of like for me, it felt like the rib cage at the back, under the arm, down this way here, right? That's why it didn't come up in the first mammogram. And even when I got my marker in and the two girls were trying to check where the marker was, they couldn't find it. And I had to say to them, it's right at the back, it's almost it's not really at the back, but it kind of is. So for a mammogram, I've nearly to lie up into it to see it. So apparently most people just get that area zapped, a good bit around with the radiotherapy, excuse me. But apparently because of the way mine's positioned, and it has to come in, the radiotherapy has to come in two different directions. So it would always be two different directions. So they have to do the whole breast. Anyway, so I said, fair enough, that's fine. And she said they didn't get the whole round because my thing is it's basically almost attached to the chest wall. So she said it's nearly on the bone. So she said they couldn't get in behind it to see. So they got kind of around here, but they didn't get in fully around to try and check this area of the tumor. So so she said they got 0.2 millimeters. So instead of 1 millimeter, and she said, that was the back margin for me, at the very back of it. So she was saying we would ideally want the 1 millimeter to be able to 100% say there's no cancer. So she said, there is a risk that there is some cancer there. And she said then the risk of it returning quite quickly is quite high if there is cancer there and I don't treat it with radiotherapy. I am on the tamoxifen, and that deals with the hormones. And this will basically just, as somebody said to me earlier, it's like a vacuum cleaner or a Hoover coming in and getting rid of the last few little particles of it in that area. So then she said to me, I'm very, we're all aware, I suppose, to a certain point of the side effects, and yeah, so for the side effects, she said, so, it would be for me, and this is why I questioned it. I was like, okay, so she said tiredness, almost 100% tiredness, right? And, temporary hair loss in the area under the arm, that would be a good thing, in my opinion. So then, up to 50% of people get skin soreness, itching, blistering, and color changes in the treatment area. It can go pink, red, or darker. And that, again, I knew about skin soreness, itching, blistering. Again, I've met a couple of people, they said, that didn't happen during the week of or 2 weeks or whatever of their therapy, and they were blessed. It did come afterwards, and it feels like sunburn. It can be very sensitive to the touch. It can swell and things like that. So, and then that's where I come to then less common. You get the breast, chest wall, discomfort, swelling, and she ticked these because she said these could probably be ones that I would get, like, so breast, chest wall, and whatever that is, breast swelling and change in breast texture. And then sometimes people get blistering, depending, I'll just be lashing on the cream, I'll do the best that I can. Now, this was the thing that I kind of was a little bit, she said, you can get lung inflammation, which is called pneumonitis, right? Now, I've had pneumonia. I had pneumonia as a 6-week-old baby. I was in hospital for a few weeks, very medicated, obviously on antibiotics and stuff like that. I actually have the files. But so I had pneumonia then. I had pneumonia when my dad died with the shock. I had pneumonia. I got asthma when my brother died. And then anyway, that went again. And then I've had pneumonia a couple of times since, walking pneumonia, right? So, and I smoked for years, which I'm very ashamed to say. And so I have a fear around my lungs. Even if I spray perfume or deodorant now, I walk into another room. I try so hard not to inhale stuff around me because a couple of years ago, I was still smoking. I kept going off them, on them, off them, on them. And I was driving to work one day and it was like literally a plastic bag was put over my lungs and I got such a fright. And I was working in a medical environment at the time, and the doctors who were my friends were saying, you definitely have something with your lungs, and they kept saying you have that COPD and everything. I was like, no, I do not. So I did everything I could to clear my lungs, and obviously I gave up smoking and all of that, and thanks be to God, touch wood, that my lungs have been fine ever since. But it's just I have this kind of little fear. So she said you could get that. And then she said, there's some things then that wouldn't, like, I don't know, breastfeeding and things like that. So there's a few things you wouldn't think about. Then the, skin color, that is quite common. It changes your skin color or whatever. It can change the appearance, so the size, shape and texture, and you can get aching and shooting pains. Can't wait. Okay. Then you can, then the same stuff, you can get breast, chest wall swelling, shoulder stiffness, which I'm like, oh God, I can't have any more stiffness or pain in this shoulder. Even last night I couldn't sleep with the pain, absolute agony in the shoulder. So I was like, oh my gosh. And then lymphedema, which I don't think I will have, because hopefully I won't have, because I've only had 2 lymph nodes removed. That comes, I think, with more than that. And if I keep exercising and all of that, hopefully that won't. And then, as I said, skin changes. Now, this is the bit that I started freaking out. And these are rare. But of course, these are rare. But because of where my tumor was situated, this is a little bit more kind of, common for me. I don't know how, right. So, sorry, I'm a bit, so skin change is fine. Rib fracture. I was like, sorry. I mean, after the operation, I don't know why, but my ribs were killing me. And she said rib fracture, because she said, look, it won't happen immediately, but it could be, a few years later, you'll find your ribs are fracturing in that area. I'm like, why? And she said, because it damages the bone. Brilliant. Okay. Because tamoxifen basically damages my bones as well, so, and then no HRT. I don't have anything for my bones. Anyway, fibrosis, scarring of the lung. Now, she said, this is really, it's going to do part of your lung. So she drew a thing, and it was like, so she said, part of your lung will definitely be in it. Now, this may cause lung, problems later on. She said it could be 15 years away. It could cause problems like fibrosis or swelling of the lung, or damage to the lining and all of that. So I'm kind of going, okay. And she said, just to be aware, if you're ever x-rayed, she said, just let them know that that's what's, when they will see a shadow, and you have to tell them that's what it's from. Increased risk of heart disease in later life. And I again looked at her, and these are the rare, very rare, less than 1%. But she said, no, we will be doing part of your heart as well. We will try and do the least amount possible, but and that's where people will know this who've gone through it or know of people, you have to hold your breath while they're doing it. And when you hold your breath, you're pulling your lung back. But depending on, again, where it is, you will most likely have part of your heart or your lung or whatever in it. I think is it the heart? Anyway, it's the heart or the lung that it's the breathing in. It pulls you away from it. But she said you will definitely, and again, she showed part of my heart, she said, will be in it. So it looks to me like it's almost half of my heart that will be, and she said, and I said, well, my mum has heart disease and my brother has had, heart problems, and my mum's side of the family, there's been a lot of heart stuff. And she said, yeah, it's just a risk that you have to weigh up the risks, cancer coming back or, probable cancer coming back or whatever I said, 10%, or having heart disease, and lung problems. I'm like, okay. Like seriously, it's like 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. It's like, what do you do? It's like roll a dice. What should I go for? Do you know what I mean? Which illness would I prefer to have? And then there's nerve damage, which may cause pain, numbness, tingling, affecting the arm and shoulder. I'm hoping I won't get that. I'm imagining that's more, again, the lymph node area. So I'm just hoping I don't have that. And so it says here, a different cancer can cause cancer so a different type of cancer in the treatment area. And she said that can happen. There's nothing they can do about that either. So it doesn't sound fabulous. Sure it doesn't. I mean, I did go in knowing, I did know all about the skin and the tenderness and the potential change to the breast. I did know maybe there could be like nerve damage or, I knew there were some of these things, but I really didn't know about the heart and lung thing literally threw me. And of course I'd say, and does everyone have that? And she said, no, it depends. Because some people get breast cancer in their right breast for a start. So in the right breast, you don't have a heart. And if you have it kind of at the front of your breast or kind of at the top, mine, of course, has to be right in the back and right around almost, into the back area of where everything is. So that's basically it. I'm sounding to myself slightly wired. I think I wanted to do this video before the chance for it to settle, because if I allow it to settle, I will potentially forget stuff, or the other thing will be I will minimize and I'll say, oh, it'll be fine, or then I'll be afraid to do a video because I'll be saying, oh, it sounds like I'm moaning, and I'm not moaning. I have to be honest. I am so grateful that, it was caught. It was grade 1. It was, it was just caught in time, and, thank God it wasn't in the lymph nodes. And so, yeah, so that's basically it. So then I decided to go to Maggie's afterwards, which is the Cancer Support Centre. And that was, I go there because an odd time. And I just said, you know what, I'm a bit floored by this. I don't know whether to. I kept saying to the doctor, do you think I should do the radiotherapy? Would you do it if it was you? Would you tell your family to do it if it was you? And of course, I knew she can't say that. She said, look, I know it's a big decision. Go away and think about it. But I said, well, can you, go ahead with everything as planned, as if I am going for it, please, because I probably will go for it. So don't halt or pause the whole process because I'm asking questions. I said, please just carry on and make the appointment for me for a couple of weeks' time. And obviously, if I change my mind, I can just call them and let them know. But So I went to Maggie's, and they're just lovely in there, and they gave me a cup of tea, and they gave Teddy water and his treats, and he's very good. He just goes in and lies down, and everyone makes a fuss of him. And so they asked would I like to talk to somebody, and I said, yeah, maybe. Oh my gosh, I was so lucky with the lady I got. They're all cancer specialist nurses that used to work in the hospital. Now they're in the centre, and she was just so nice to me, and she was so understanding, and she's putting me down for a menopause course, which is women who are forced into menopause through medication or through illness, and because I kind of really didn't have menopause, and then all of a sudden now it's just like everything. I had like perimenopause, which is the beginning, and I was more the emotional, mental side of things. Now it's all very physical. So I think that's a 4 to 6 week course, which it's really good because it deals with the mind, body, soul, and all of that, and diet or whatever around the menopause. And then I couldn't believe it. She said there's oh my gosh, like for me it was like Christmas. It was like a Christmas present. She said we have a sound bath which is healing through music. Oh my goodness. And she was like, I said, please put me down. Yes, 100%. So I will be doing that as well. Now that's just miraculous. So she was just really nice, and she did say to me, I was saying I don't know what to do, and she said, can you live with yourself? See what you can live with. Can you live with yourself if you don't do don't go ahead with the radiotherapy? Could you live with yourself? My eyes look dead. Do you know what it is? I think it's hay fever. I've just walked Teddy in the local little field, and it's probably hay fever. I didn't sleep a wink last night either, by the way. Oh my God. I couldn't sleep with hot flushes, pain in my shoulder, shooting down my arm, and just the anxiety about today. And then I gave Teddy sausages for dinner, and he had to get up and poop during the night, and I just couldn't sleep. I was, so I'm a bit tired as well. But so this lovely lady, anyway, she just gave me, she said, do you have time? I can sit with you. I can give you a kind of session. And I said, yeah, sure. And we did this thing. It was just amazing. It's just all about, anxiety and your thinking and your stress bucket. And yeah, it's just amazing. Like the primitive brain, fight, flight, freeze. And it's a system called Choice Point by Russ Harris, YouTube. So if you have a chance and you'd be interested in this, Russ Harris, HARRIS on YouTube, and it's called Choice Point. I will definitely be going on to that. And it's just about, be kind to myself, use the support of friends, and this to me is support, big support. Maggie's, which is where I was, dog walks, and think about facts. And then she was saying, like, we feel stuck when we're in this situation, very stuck, and that's due to like unhelpful negative thoughts, isolation. I'm so isolated physically and in most ways here. Future forecasting in negative ways and all the what ifs, so and then there's a thing called stop. So you slow down, you take note, you open up, and you pursue values, and then that goes into more detail there as well. So it was just, I've been in fight, flight, and freeze for over a year, and that brings a lot of kind of, all the stress hormones and the cortisol and all of that stuff comes out. And, I'm sure you've heard of adrenal fatigue. I'm sure I have that. And then that leads to like a poor sleep cycle, which is me. And then she was saying, like, the REM sleep is like 20% of your sleep. So you get something like, I don't know, 18 minutes for every hour or something like that. I just said 18 minutes? No. it's 20% anyway. But if there's so much going on and so much stress, and you don't have that much sleep, you're only getting very little REM time, and the REM sleep time is what processes. It's how your intellectual brain processes what's going on in your everyday life, and especially things that are stressful. So if you wake up, she was saying, if sometimes you've slept but you wake up exhausted and you're just wrecked, it could be because there's so much stress in your life, and your brain's overworking to try and sort through it at night. It was just really interesting, the stuff she was saying. So then she was saying, the 3 P's in order to help you with stress is 3 P's. So you've got positive action, positive interaction, and positive thinking. So, like, for example, today my positive action was I went into Maggie's. I knew I needed help to try and talk about this decision I have about the treatment. I mean, I probably will get radiotherapy because it's been advised by the doctors and this nurse, but I do have that choice. And I suppose for me, I really do. I always need to think about stuff. I usually do things in the end, but I just like to feel I can pull back and think. So she helped me with that. So that was the positive action. Positive interaction was with her and with the people who made me tea, and, the people in there as well, and positive thinking. So I came out like feeling more supported and just more positive in general. And so that's it. So yeah, so it's, for me now, it's about getting mentally healthy as well, because I've been, just, I suppose, in my mind on my own for a very long time. I am very positive in the sense I'm very grateful for everything I have. I'm grateful for my beautiful Teddy and my beautiful James and where I'm living, and I have a roof over my head, and I'm very comfortable, like, as in, I don't have to worry, like, the neighbors are lovely, and do you know what I mean? And look, thankfully it's summer, so it's not that cold, and I have my rug here, my electric rug. So yeah, so that's it. So there you go. So it's 5 days radiotherapy in about 4 weeks time. So I'll keep you updated on what I'm thinking, but yeah, it's just I can deal with the breast changes and the skin changes and the soreness of the skin and the blistering. Well, the blistering, I don't like the idea of that, but I can deal with all of that. I think the heart and lung thing for me is just really frightening, actually, because I've 3 family members died of lung cancer, and all my mum's family basically have heart issues. So yeah, so if the heart and lung thing going on, it's just like doing something that, and it's not as if it's everyone. Then you could say, oh, well, I know thousands of people who have breast cancer and have gone through radiotherapy and never had this problem, but it's not everyone gets the exact same area. And my area is, I'm not going to say it's unusual, because I actually genuinely haven't a clue, but I know for me it was very hard to detect because it was so far back and so kind of lodged in, it's just far back. And thanks, only because of my shoulder being sore, that I was kind of feeling around there, and it was real, like, the pains, so I'm lucky, for everything, and I'm grateful. So that's me. Sorry it's another long video, but thank you for all your love and support and everything. I'm so grateful to all of you, and and I'm looking at my hair there again. It's just, do you know what I said? Oh, put a bit of oil into it so it won't look fuzzy. And then it's just so what's the flat and everything else. But when I was out walking and it was blowing in the wind, it was actually fine. Like, it's not bad for me cutting my own hair. I will redo it, and I might even venture out to a hairdresser's. You would never know. So thanks everybody. I really appreciate the support, and I'm I'm feeling quite positive at the moment with that. I just feel I have breathing space and breathing time to consider all my options. So I probably will veer towards radiotherapy, because I think if I did get cancer, I would be kind of raging at myself, and I would blame myself, and rightly so. But yeah, so we shall see. Okay, take care. Thank you. Bye.